This is Shakti Kee Maya with a class called The Ease of the Ask. It is March 18th, 2019. And we're gonna just jump into seeing what it means to have ease in asking a question. I often tell people I have been asked what it means to be living in the question. And I always respond with what it means to not be living in the question. Because when you live out of the question, then it's so much easier to identify all of the familiarity with it. So I can tell you what it means to not be in the question is kind of like conclusion. It would be living in conclusion. It's kind of like living in expectations. And how many of you find yourself disappointed? It's like when you ask and then you don't get something. I see it all the time with children when a parent cannot, it's like they say yes and then they say no. Or they ask and they don't get an answer. And then the kids are left kind of wishing but not knowing. It kind of means living in force and push. It could also mean living as a victim or in your own pity party. So if you choose to live in the question, are you choosing, when you are choosing to live in the question, you are choosing to live in curiosity and wonderment and allowance. So I always find that when you choose gratitude and when you choose curiosity and when you choose allowance, then living in the question from that curiosity seems to create a lot of magic. And so it's like, where are you willing to play with the little micro miracles in your life? Where are you willing to play with the simple tools that aren't so simple? They're actually profound. And I remember when I was 27 and I had like gone through all these obstacles of kind of, there was like a car accident and then my dog ran away and then I was homeless for 6 months. It was kind of, and then my dog died. It was kind of like a snowball effect of, oh my gods, or what one might say beyonds. And so I remember walking down the street in Seattle one time saying, I don't understand this. I know how this works. I know how this works. Why isn't this working? So it's like, that's an example of being in conclusion. When you go into your own programming and you're setting yourself in this paradigm that says, I know how it works. So when you know how it works, the universe just sits back and watches. Oh, okay, you show me how it works then. You show me what you know. And so there's that force and push. It's like when you tell the universe you know what it must know, then it kind of sits back and lets you feel stranded and like nobody is showing up for you. And why does the universe not have my back kind of thing? So there's a what is that word? It's like a puppet play between you mastering the universe and the universe mastering you. There's a symbiosis relationship that creates this space where you get to play and the universe gets to have your back. And when you play in that world of curiosity, a lot of magic can happen.
So it's sort of like you're not being the puppet master, you're being the puppet.
Sometimes it feels that way. And sometimes it is a symbiosis relationship between you and the universe. How much out of control are you willing to be in order to have the universe dictate? It's like the more trust you have in you, and the more trust you have in the universe, the more space of allowance can be made when there's this faith of the unknown. As you step into it, it's like the universe provides the platform for you to stand on. And in 10-second living, it requires that level of radical faith. And when you are congruent with your ask, when you are aligned with the perfect ask, which is what this call is about, what is the perfect ask? When you get there, then the receiving end of it is seamless. So today is the ease of the ask, and the next call will be the ease of receive. And it will be this play of what does a perfect ask look like, and how congruent can you make it? And why is it so important to have the perfect ask? And what does that mean for you asking the question? You know, I have, maybe it's because I'm a Taurus, I'm not sure, but there's like, maybe it's being human, but there is a level of rightness, like having to be right. Maybe it's humanness. Maybe the need to be right is dictated in our DNA or dictated in our primal existence, but it comes with this righteousness. For some, it's entitlement. For some, it's righteousness. And others, it's how much ease are you willing to have in your life? And so when you have the desire to create with magic, and you have the desire to create miracles, the expansion comes in how many miracles are you willing to receive. Like the ask and the receive work together. And when we are perpetually in this unaligned space or misalignment, then we're always focusing on one and not the other, when they need to come together. And so when we are focusing on the ask, know that the focus on the receive is as equally as important. I can only address this in this class, though, because it requires, there's so much information. So I like to use the word communing. And when we are communing, we are coming together. And when we are not communing, we are in separation. And so the separation is what creates this waiting period. You ask for something, and then there's a really long waiting period. It could be years waiting, it could be decades waiting, and it could also be a nanosecond. It could be like a heartbeat. You have the thought, and then instantly it manifests. So what is it that makes something instantly manifest, and others it takes a really long time? You know, where is the where is the, what is the word? There's so much silence in this. It's like I can see how it's really a lost art, because people are they're looking for instant gratification. People are looking for instant results. And when you are addicted to that nature of right now, right now, right now, you've cut off your awareness, you've cut off your knowing, you've cut off your perceiving. There's a disconnect going on. And so people that are young, it's interesting because little kids just expect it. They just expect things to show up. And then you get into the teenage college years where you might be expecting it, and it's a little bit more entitled, and it's not showing up. And then you get a little bit older, and then you start having conclusions, and you start going, well, why doesn't this work this way? Or why isn't this working? Or why can't I? And you start going into a lot of whys, and you find yourself sick-licking the whys. Like, why is this happening again? Why is, I thought I got over this, or I thought I didn't need this anymore. Why is this happening again? So then the young unconscious mind can then spin out in that arena, and they have lost this clarity or awareness that they had when they were little. Because when they were little, there was no cognitive thinking, right? You just expect things, you know. Santa brings you a toy, and so then every year you expect Santa to bring you what you ask for. There's anticipation, and anticipation is a super juicy, super delightful, super glamorous energy that comes with the ask. When you can ask with the curiosity of anticipation, there is a strong manifestation that can occur. So, and I'm getting a question, is there some beliefs of separation to create, and is our experience clouding our ask? Our experience is defining our ask. Our experience, our constructs, our limiting beliefs, our image of what's projected onto you as a child. So if you have parents that project a lot of things onto you as a victim, or perpetrate a lot of things onto you, then your ask might have the flavor of, I can't do it. I can't ask. It's inappropriate to ask. It's not polite to ask. It might have shame attached to it, and it might have this scarring effect that might be filtered through your perception. And so when you are angry, or when you desire something but don't feel worthy of it, and you're stuck in the point of view that you're not enough, then the deficit of being is asking. The deficiency of being is doing the asking. And there is not any way possible to go into the balance of that, in the gratitude of that, if you're not in the gratitude of it. If you're asking from a place of deficit, there is no gratitude. So the key ingredients for your ask are curiosity, gratitude, and allowance. These three are super duper clues. And when you are in the congruency of your ask, when you are aligned with what is, it's like your body might not be aligned with your ask, but your frequencies are aligned with it. But your body takes a while to come along with it. So your body might say you've been in a recent divorce and you're asking for something, but your body is unraveling all of the shit that has been about from the divorce for however many years. There's not a match. And so the body has to catch up. The body is a physical creation, and it has to, it's a little bit slower in order to catch up with the other frequencies. So your awareness, your awakening might be big, and now, why is my body not coming along to play? Why is the money not here to play? Why? It's like back to the why questions. And when you, it's like, I have this thing that I call it Life Hack Consciousness 101. And I'm always looking to bypass the thinking mind, because the mind is what's actually stopping it. And so when you are looking to make a shift, it's like, where is the molecule that is willing to play in this new reality? Where it's like, I always say, it's never too late to become what you were meant to be. And so if you know deep down that you are brilliant, or if you know deep down that you have value, and that what you have to say matters, and yet you haven't been able to get people to hear you, or you feel unseen or invisible, or you haven't been able to ask for what you've been desiring, because it might feel like asking a parent. You know, you might be in a marriage where the other person has the money, and you got to ask them for permission. And so that creates all these obstacles to find the alignment. And it gets really confusing, and it can get really messy, because they're what I call is fat. You have fat in your ask. You have a lot of stuff that needs to be cleaned out of the ask, so that when you ask it, it's clean. It's a very clean energy. So Debbie's asking, what is the best way to be in alignment? Is there a way to shift the blocks, barriers that we have created, or we have constructed? There is. What space is required for my perfect ask? What space is required? There's a lot of encapsulated silence in this again. And it's interesting because that silence, you know how sometimes silence can feel deafening? You're inside a glass jar and you can't hear anything, but the silence actually has a deafening sound to it. So your awareness is what's being asked to be heard. So we're not looking for silence, we're looking for awareness. It comes in a aha, or did you catch that? Or it's the whisper. I am so good at hearing the whispers. Call so-and-so, call so-and-so, call so-and-so. 3 days later, call so-and-so. Guess I have to call so-and-so, you know, it's like been nagging me. And then they call, or I call, and they're like, oh, I was just thinking about you. And it's like, of course you have. That's being in the frequency of alignment. You are in the space that is connected to the other particle. But we want to be particle free. So what does it mean to be particle free? It means to be in the space. The magic is the lubrication, or the gratitude is the magic. The gratitude is the lubrication of magic. And when you are in your magic, things just are synchronizing like crazy. It's like you can't be on top of it fast enough. Oh my God. It's like, how many oh my gods can you have? You're not going to believe what just happened to me. You're not going to believe who I just ran into. You're not going to believe what at some point you need to like start believing it, because this is, you've chosen this. So instead of being in the wow of it, being the thank you of it. And now it's possible. Now what else is possible? So you're asking me what is the shift that needs to happen. And this is where I would like all three of you to like answer this for you. What is your biggest fear? And what is your biggest ask that you're afraid to ask? Because inside the biggest fear, inside the biggest challenge is where you have the biggest gift, the greatest capacity, the greatest awareness waiting for you. It's desiring to be seen. So when you are willing to flip the coin, so the coin says, this is my biggest fear, and the coin says, this is my most fear of asking, that if you flip it, now you're looking at what else you can allow yourself to generate the desired outcome. So who would like to go first? Being seen big time, internationally successful, ask of the fear. So Debbie, you're saying your biggest fear is being seen.
Yeah.
And being an internationally successful, what will it take is your biggest ask fear? Like what you're afraid to ask for.
That is the same. It's the same. The fear is there to be seen. And that is the ask. I'm asking for my fear.
Right. So let's flip it. So if you weren't afraid of being seen, are you willing to be are you willing to have the world see you as a witness to your life?
I get no.
So what percentage of the world are you willing to have a witness be to your life?
70%.
70%? Well, that's really epic. So, that's, 70% of the world is seeing you and being a witness to your life, a fair witness. So let's take this as like, take the 30% that you're afraid of being judged by, whatever that 30% represents, and throw that out the window. You have 70% of the people that you are willing to have be a witness to your life, your creation, your success. So 70% is large. That's not a small.
No, but I think the thing is, the judgment of choosing that 30% is because there's judgment in that 30%.
But those 30% won't even see you. They won't. They won't. They don't want anything to do with you. So there's like 30% of the population are your people that you'd like to work with. Those 30% won't like you even if you gave them $1 million, even if you gave them $20 million. There are people on the planet that will not like you just because you breathe.
Oh yeah, and that's okay.
And so there's 70% now that you're like, hey, come be my, what would it take for you to let that 70% be your fair witness in the world? Doesn't matter what you create, doesn't matter what you bring, doesn't matter anything. Your only point of view is that they get to be a witness of your life.
Just allow, yeah. Not much I have to do, just allow.
Right, which is the gratitude, the curiosity, and the allowance.
Mm.
So now, if you were to ask the question to the 70% out there that are going to be a witness to you for no reason whatsoever other than the fact that you're choosing it, what would your ask be?
See me now, basically. See me now.
What is it you want to be seen for?
For what I do. So for whether it's workshops or whether it's one-on-one, whether it's, public exposure through, media or whatever it might be, just whatever comes.
Are you willing to be spectacular?
Absolutely.
Are you willing to ask spectacular questions?
Yes.
Are you willing to be that spectacular, to be known for being that spectacular? Like for some people, brilliance is the word, and for some people, genius is the word. For you, it's spectacular. Are you willing to live a spectacular life? Are you willing to be a spectacle? Are you willing to be seen as a spectacle?
Absolutely.
So now do you feel the energies are matching better?
Yeah, it's shifting. Yeah, absolutely.
Shifting. So it's not about being seen, it's about having a witness to being spectacular.
Yeah.
And and that's a huge difference. That's a huge difference. So internationally, what space is required for the spectacular life that that's a life by design. You're designing your life. So what a great question would be what spectacular life am I willing to receive? But we'll get that into the receive. We're not going to do receive now, but that is where this would then go. You've gotten out of the way, and now that we're congruent with the ask, we can then get congruent with the receive.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Sailor, would you like to go?
Sure.
So what is your biggest fear, and what is your biggest fear you would like to ask, or you can't ask because you're too afraid?
Well, I was going to say one thing, but something else is coming up instead. It would be to be able to support myself with huge profit and really be there for me, have my back.
And what was the last part?
Be there for me and have my back. The what came up first was just to be a what was it? To really fuck with people's realities.
So is it like, it's interesting, you know how when you have a dream and then you go to interpret the dream and then someone says, can you make everybody in the dream be a representation of you? So that's the energy that I have here for you. It's like there's a level of control. There's an energy of control. And it's like, what is it that you're life hacking? You're hacking into an aspect to shift this for you, but the fear is gripping you. And so, do you not have your back? Do you not have enough evidence of the universe having your back? Do you not have enough evidence of you having your back?
It would be the latter, not the first. The universe always has my back.
So, are you not a part of the universe?
Oh, yeah.
So then, who gives you the right to separate that out and say that you don't have your own back?
It's not mine.
No, I don't think so. So, what if you now could recognize that you are inseparable, you're communing with the universe, and you and the universe always have your back, no matter what. That's seamless. That energy is seamless, yes?
Mm-hmm.
That's alignment. So the first part of not enough, it's like, once again, if you're coming from the deficit of being or a lack or deficiency, no matter what ask you have, it'll always be received with an empty cup. You do not have you do not have the vehicle to receive, because you're asking from a place of deficiency. You're asking from a place of not enough. Finding the abundance and the gratitude within yourself and asking where you can ask the question in a way that aligns with the knowing you have your back. Deficiency is I don't have my back, but you just said that they're not separate. So here is where the conflict is. The conflict says I have my own back, the universe has my own back, but my ask is coming from lack. My ask is coming from the deficit of being. Therefore, I can't receive it. There's not a match.
Cool.
So how would you rephrase this for you? What is the best way that you could rephrase this?
Which part of this?
The first part, the question of not of being there for myself to have everything that's required. Trust. This is a trusting thing.
Am I rephrasing it as a question or just making a statement?
This is a question, and it's based in trust.
Oh.
So right there's like this thread of curiosity. I see it. So you're going to take that curiosity and now ask the question, because it is truly coming from pure curiosity. I can feel it.
What's coming up, but it still seems like there's an incongruency there. Something like, universe, show me everywhere where I have my back, where you have my back, something, blah blah blah. But that still doesn't quite feel.
And so you're asking that you're asking for everything to be abundantly provided for you, yes?
Mm-hmm.
So what space of trust is available as the fruition queen? Be in the fruition, the abundance, the fruition of creation. Fruition is the low-hanging fruits. What would it take for me to trust that all the low-hanging fruits are available within my reach at any given moment?
there's something in that I've been implanted with that doesn't even allow me to quite get that concept and to really take it in.
Right. And that has to do with
I kind of hear you, and it's like blah blah.
So I think that I get it's a self-worth and self-value. It has, and it's part of the receiving. So be with that question. You do not have to believe it. You have to ask it. It matches the energy. It matches the energy. It is very aligned. So even if you can't figure it out in the constructs of your mind, energetically, it matches the frequencies of everything else that you're talking about.
So
And that,
repeat the question, please.
what would it take for all the low-hanging fruits to be available at any given moment of my life as the source of fruition, as the source of, this is about you having, the universe has your back. It's about you having everything at any given moment, but it's within reach, low-hanging fruits. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to get a ladder. You don't have to climb. You don't have to, you just walk up to the tree and you pluck it off, and then you eat it, and then it's like, oh, that was great. Thank you. Thank you. You know, it doesn't have to be hard.
That's interesting, because that's one of the reasons why I used to think about moving to Costa Rica or places that had an abundance of fruit hanging on trees so that I could just go out and pick it or grab greens and make a smoothie and blah, blah, blah. So.
Right. So now transpose that energy onto the business. Transpose all of that into all of the people, the classes, the horses, everywhere that you identify with that form of creation. Duplicate it and put it into your life and ask where the low-hanging fruits are every day in every way. What space is required for me today? What low-hanging fruits are available today?
Okay.
Because that matches the seamless energy of the universe having your back.
Sounds like ease, joy, and glory to me.
I've been using ease, joy, and no story. Ease, joy, and no story. Anne, what is your biggest fear, and what is your biggest ask that you're afraid to ask?
Is what's come up for me this week around fear would probably be dying young. Yeah, that's it.
So when you die at 98 years young, are you young?
Yeah, but I was getting it would be a lot earlier than that.
So a number is just a number. A number is if I were to count to you in Chinese, you wouldn't know anything that I was saying, would you?
No.
So what significance are you placing on the number? What significance are you placing on the dying? Because it really is one of the things that I have learned in my life is that when you know how to die is when you know how to live. You know, Wim Hof is a leader that has been bringing people into this incredible new reality of being able to submerge their bodies into cold ice water for long periods of time. And he lives in Poland, and he's, through these meditation breathing techniques, he has shown people how to get out of their mind and to be able to do things that seem beyond inconceivable. Spending, like, hypothermia doesn't exist. Like, their bodies can show that. He's like, if you're in a burning house, are you going to sit around or are you going to run? You don't think when you're in a burning house, you just run. So when you are sitting around all the time thinking about all these things, you're not in a place of action. You're not living your life from a place of action. You're living a life from a place of thinking. And he talks about this whole body awakening that has to happen in order for you to wake up parts of your brain that have been asleep in the immune system for a really long time. And so when you are out of the story, when you have a point of view that you're going to die, like if I go into ice cold water, your mind automatically thinks I'm going to get hypothermia and die. Then you're in a story, but your body knows what to do. Your body literally is the thing that's going to take over and keep you alive. And so when you know how to die, you know how to live. So when you have a fear of dying young, do you have a fear of living young? Yeah? So what are the things that you would like to do? What does living young look like for you?
I don't know.
Do you have a fear of not knowing, or do you have awareness around this and there's shame and embarrassment and truth in your mind of what it actually looks like for you?
Yeah, all of that.
So all of that is not your body's point of view. They're thoughts you've collected. It's like going to a beach and you pick up rocks. Oh, this is a pretty one. And you pick up lots and lots of rocks. And when you're little, you pick up lots and lots of thoughts. And they're not your thoughts, but they're projected onto you. And you think they're pretty thoughts because someone is giving you attention. Someone is seeing you. Someone is loving you. And so you believe them. You think they're real. And then you go home and you polish the rock. And you polish and polish to make it really super sparkly and shiny. And then you own it. And then you're like, this is my rock. I must be special because someone gave this to me. And it doesn't matter that it's a shame rock. It doesn't matter that if it's a not enough rock or the points of view that you've picked up throughout your life are owned by you as little people. We believe them to be real and true. And they're no more real and true than flipping the coin and seeing a different thought on it. But until you recognize, like someone said to me one time that emotions are not sacred, and I just about had a conniption. I was like, what? What do you mean emotions aren't sacred? How dare you? I'm like, I've been holding on to my emotions like they're the most sacred thing on the planet. Like, oh my gosh, they are like, nobody can touch my emotions. They are so sacred. So when I learned that emotions are not sacred, I was like, well, now what do I do? Like, well, I don't want those. Those make me really unhappy. Those make me really miserable. And a lot of suffrage I've had have come from that. And so when you collect things from childhood that are implants, for people would call them an implant. You know, someone put that thought in your head, so it is therefore implanted. But you could have implanted it yourself because you buy it and you repeat it over and over. So you might have the thought, I'm bad, I'm not good enough, I'll never surmount to anything, or I'm wrong. And you carry this in you, I'm wrong, I'm bad, I'm wrong, I'm wrong, I'm bad. So 25, 35, 45, 55 years go by, and you've been carrying and polishing this rock that says I'm wrong. And then someone comes around and says that what do you mean you're wrong? There's not anything part of you that could possibly be wrong. Does the sun get judged for being too hot? Does the rain get judged for being too wet? Does the rainbow get judged for being too transparent? So when you are in the two anything, then your focus is on the deficit of being. The focus is on the deficiency, not the abundance, not the gratitude. And so when you flip the coin and you go towards the gratitude and go towards the fulfillment, then you are in alignment with the receiving of the abundance. So when you're in deficiency and in lack and deficit of being, you are in alignment with receiving lack. You are in alignment with receiving the emptiness of it. And so a cup is half full or a cup is half empty is all a point of view. You know, put a hole in the cup and it just drains right out. Put the cup upside down and it can't receive anything. So how you live life is how you do anything is how you do everything. So how you live life is how you have been shown how to live life. So what action can you change to the fulfillment part, the filling up part, the self-love part? There's so many different ways that you can access this. So your ask is going to be, what is your ask now?
I don't know.
What was it before? What was the fear?
Yeah, dying young.
Mm-hmm. So what if your ask is now, because dying is just a transformation. So it's just changing energy and transforming. Where would you like to live? What space for living is required? Where would you like to live? Would you like to live in the heart? Would you like to live in the head? Would you like to live in the beauty? Would you like to live in the judgments? Where would you like to live now? And Debbie wrote, what would it take for all dormant energies of youthful living to come to fruition, to be active in my life now? It's like, what was your favorite age that you have lived?
Can't recall.
Well, let's pick one.
I don't think there is one.
Okay, so what if we now take where you are today, right now, and ask the universe to celebrate you? Doesn't matter what age you are, doesn't matter how you live. Let's look at something completely outside of this and ask to be celebrated. And as you are celebrated, you will begin to know what living is. You will begin to understand the flavors of, oh, I really like that, and oh, I really like that, and oh, I didn't really like that, but I'm glad it happened. And like, begin asking the questions of what would it take to be celebrated every day, in every way. How can I celebrate me? I have, and tomorrow when we do the next class on the receiving, I have an exercise that you can do so that you can begin receiving that. But for now, let's be in that question, and then when we go to the receive, you'll have the tool for that.
Thank you.
Give yourself a big hug, because that was really a loving thing to do for yourself. That was very kind. You know, when you acknowledge what is can change. All right, so Manako has joined us. I would love to see you. You're so beautiful. You talk about purity and beauty coming together. How are you?
Sorry. Good. I'm sorry I was late.
Oh, you didn't miss a thing. You're good. So so I'm asking people to share their biggest fear, and to ask what your biggest fear in asking is. So you have two things. One is a big fear, and it might be tied in with your asking, but what are you afraid to ask for, if that was a big ask?
I was afraid to ask for receiving
For what?
things.
Receiving things. Well, are you ready for tomorrow's class? When you know how, when you know how
I
to,
always have
when you have,
Go ahead.
when you know how to ask, you know how to receive.
Mhm.
When you know how to receive, you know how to ask. So we're starting with the ease of the ask so that you can be aligned with the receiving aspect of this. So instead of looking at how to receive, let's look at it, the fear of what it, the attempt, you're attempting to take yourself out of receiving. It's not that you're afraid of receiving. I think it has more to do with the attempt to take you out of receiving. So it's like when you can recognize that everything that works against you is an attempt, you're attempting to make your life complicated. You're attempting to make yourself unavailable for the universe to find you. And so when you're attempting to take yourself out of, like with judgment, so you attempt to do these things through judgment, through self-abuse, through the programming in our mind, when there is an attempt to do that, you can catch yourself. If I wasn't attempting to keep myself small, what would I choose? If I wasn't attempting to be afraid here, what would I be choosing? If I wasn't attempting. So there's a difference between the action of doing it and the action of attempting to do it. So when
you're right.
and it's such a refined, it's so refined. It's like when we are caught in the I don't know, the deer in the headlight, I'm too afraid, we're not seeing the bigger picture. So step back from it. And the stepping back is that I'm actually attempting to do these things. Nothing is happening to me in these 10 seconds other than I'm attempting to play small. Nothing is happening other than I'm attempting to remove myself from playing bigger or from expanding. And when you live in that place of attempting, then you catch it quicker and you can go, oh, I'm not going to buy that. I'm not going to fall for that. Nice try. Thank you anyways. You know, thank you for caring enough about me to share. If I wasn't distracted by self-abuse, if I wasn't distracted by judgments, if I wasn't distracted by distractors, what would I choose now to create? It's like path or distraction. Your ease of your ask is going to be coming refined down to, is it a path or is it a distraction? So every ask that you have, is it out of distraction? You know, when you have kids, you see the distractions all day long. When you're going towards the straight line theory, going from here to there, but in order to get from here to there, I end up doing 20 other things. The phone rang, then someone needed to be fed, and then someone hurt themselves, and it's like on and on and on. Your attempt to get from a straight line from A to B might not be what is being asked in the creation. Because all along the way, when you have the bumps and the bruises, you gain value. And as you gain value, you have information that will be of value to other people. And as you give permission for other people to be who they are by you being yourself, then you're creating expansion in the world. When you give permission to somebody that they're not enough and that they don't know and that they're not, then they're afraid, then you're giving permission to contraction in the world. You're saying it's okay for the world to be small. And so then these little people and adults, they all say, well, if they do it, then I have to do it, because there's this aligning going on. You either align and agree or you resist and react. And so I'm looking to bypass all of this and ask, what is the most congruent ask you can ask that's going to allow for you to have the ease of the receive? And in order to have the perfect ask, you have to have awareness. Everything is built in awareness. And so for you, it's where you attempt to take yourself out of the game. It's where you attempt to stop yourself. because not anything's happening other than the mind is tricking you. And so if you were to ask questions, well, what would you like to ask? What would be an ask that you have?
So if I were to give a permission to myself to stop like pretending and start receiving, then everything will start rolling in.
Where did the word pretend come
Or
from?
well, you said I'm sorry. Pretending to attempt. Is that what I was doing?
Well, it's like if someone's bored, they're going to create something to entertain themselves. And so if you're not creating exactly, like if you're not creating big enough, like expansion is huge. Expansion is really, it's universes, it's huge. It's not just simple ask. And the universe really likes it when we ask big. Really, not where's our rent coming from, not how is my next meal going to come, not, not frivolous things. The universe likes big. It likes, so a really interesting question would be, what would it take? Not what would it take, but what legacy of me is available? Like, it's like, where can I create the legacy of me? Now you went big. Legacy is big. Legacy is standing on your legs, and it's supporting you, and it's creating the vastness of you. That is big. There's no attempting to play small. There's no attempting to get yourself out of there. And so when you ask from that level of vastness, then your energies are going to be congruent.
I got it. Okay.
And so when when we do the class on the ease of receive, you'll see all the areas you can't receive it. You'll see all the practices required to receive it. It's, it is a practice. Asking a question is a practice. Living in the question is a practice. Living in the receiving is a practice. This isn't a one-time, quick stop, fill up with gas and go again. This is an ongoing practice. And it will become effortless when you are lubricated in that gratitude. When you live the gratitude of the well-being, when you live the gratitude of being filled up, then you're not coming from lack. The deficit of being generates emptiness. The deficit of being is congruent with emptiness. And it's like you want this fruit, low hanging, but you're telling me that there's no nutrition for the plant or the tree. Therefore, the tree has grown up and it has no fruit to give. And so where are you going to pick the fruit if there's nothing to pick? So when you nurture and when you nourish yourself with gratitude and with self-love, you're filling yourself up so that when you receive the fulfillment, the fruition, the abundance of that growth, then abundance is everywhere. And it comes from the question, the perception, the awarenesses. If you come from a family of not enoughness, then you're going to raise children in not enoughness. And then you're going to teach your children to go be out in the world and not be enough. And that cycle goes on and on and on. If you were raised in gratitude, and if you were raised in abundance, and if you were raised in fullness, then your kids are going to be full and fed and nourished, and they're going to go out into the world and they're going to fill and feed and nourish and be grateful, and it will go on and on and on in that realm. Any other questions?
No, thank you.
You're welcome. There's an exercise that I want to do here. And it's an expansion exercise. It's finding a universe that's judgment-free. So you can look at it as an experiment. You can look at it as, what if? What if there was a world without judgment? What if it doesn't exist? What if, you could look at it from that place. So I want you to expand out and go into billions of years ahead of you. So however many light years, however many eons, find the universe, however far ahead of you it is, that is completely judgment-free. It is a universe full of gratitude, because gratitude and judgment can't live at the same time. So we're going to create your future and find the lifetime that there is no judgment. It is a reality that is free of that. And sit in the center of that energy and see how liberating it is to be around people and places and energies that requires no wrongness, that requires no judgment. Find that universe where the ease of being you is just that. And just breathe in this possibility that everything is perfect the way it is, and everything is filled with love, and everything is filled with ease, and everything is filled with gratitude. Allow yourself to molecularly infuse that into your life. Infuse your space, infuse your consciousness, infuse your knowing, infuse your all the molecules in your awareness, outside, inside, everywhere, and allow it to seep into deep inside of you. And now we're going to build a bridge. We're going to build a bridge to the lifetime that you are in, your physical reality that you're in right now. And we're going to manipulate these molecules. We're going to manipulate this from that lifetime, however many light years ahead it is, from whatever reality, from whatever solar system, from whatever lifetime it is. You are going to make a bridge. You're going to turn to your life now, and you're going to face you in the direction that you can see, whether it's 2 million years, 2 billion years, 2 trillion years, whatever that is. You're going to build a bridge. And you're going to send out an acoustical wave for you to travel back into this lifetime and ask that lifetime that's free of judgment to contribute to you dynamically. You're going to take the molecules, the light particles, the golden molecules, all of the things that you know to be true within you that are filled and are infused in you, and you're going to take it into your body, into your space, into your awareness, into your consciousness, and you're going to send it on a light bridge back to this time, space, continuum. And you're going to ask for your business to receive this molecular infusion. You're going to ask for your relationships, your home, your family. You're going to ask all of this to be infused with this energy around you that you just received. And you're going to do this and say or declare, is it a declaration? Now that I know a judgment-free universe exists, universe, please bring the ease in all areas of my life. And you're going to do it in a way that has a willingness to play out of curiosity. What would it look like, universe, to live in a judgment-free universe? What would it look like if I were to create a judgment-free ripple effect? What if it starts with you? What if your acoustical wave that is now experiencing the judgment-free reality becomes this wave, acoustical wave, and it goes out millions of miles in every direction, and you now become the eye of the storm. You now become the frequency or the vibration. What if you being you is the beginning of turning this molecule, and then that turns another molecule, and then it turns another molecule. And all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're like, wow, I don't feel like anyone judges me anymore. Wow, I went the entire day without feeling judged. Can you find a place within you that says, I'm going to ask for this? Today is the day. Today is the day. Today is the day. Today is today. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, but right now, I'm choosing to live judgment-free. And it begins with yourself. And so when you see something that you don't like, oh, my hair is too curly, or, you know, my eyes are too brown, or my, you know, my thighs are too big, or I have too much cellulite, or whatever it is, instead of going there, thank you, body. Thank you for showing up for me. I love you. Thank you. Please forgive me for not being kind. Find the place of gratitude. And as you fill yourself up with gratitude, satiation is going to occur. You're no longer going to be, it's like all of those places of lack in your body. It's like if you have 1,000,000 portals in your body, all those portals are now filled up with gratitude. All of those portals, all of those spaces and places and hidden places and hidden spaces and hidden agendas and all the projected, like if you're an empath absorber, and all of the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that you have been carrying of lack within your body are now filled up. You are now carrying a new shiny rock that says, I am enough. And what is inside of me must come out. And if I am overflowing with gratitude, then it must come out. And then you start spilling gratitude, then you are the wave of gratitude. You are the wave of a new world. You are the new world because you are practicing it within yourself. And you can only start with yourself. I just recently heard somebody say, you know, because there's all these addictions, addiction to anger, addiction to polarity, addiction to separation. And it's like he said, you are addicted, not to me, but it was to this person, you are addicted to wanting the other person to change. And I was like, oh my God, I never saw that as an addiction. When you're asking for someone else to change over and over again and they can't change because you want them to be something that they're not, then you are creating the addiction to this person not ever changing. So it's like if you can allow them to be who they are no matter what, doesn't mean they have to be in your life anymore. If they're incompatible and yet they're still in your life, then there's value that they're there for you for some reason. So then ask the question of what you love about them being so incompatible in your life. Ask the question about what is it that you love about having this addiction to wanting someone else to change. Is it that you're unwilling to change yourself? Is it the addiction of denial? The addiction of I can't, I won't. I can never be enough. I can never have enough. I can never fulfill enough. I can never satiate my desires. They come from so much lack. And so the ease of the ask is going to always be coming from two platforms. And when you get that you have one platform of deficiency, you will never be able to attain the desired outcome if you are coming from the emptiness. It's just not physically possible. And then you will be on the hamster wheel, the rat race of this matrix of always desiring and never having. So where I come from, I'm looking to help align people with a new possibility where they can start living and not not be stuck in the never having enough. Because when you were born, you don't have anything. And when you leave, you don't have anything. Therefore, you have everything. So when you are born with nothing and you leave with nothing, you have everything. You will have everything that you ever need in this lifetime. And so how would you design the life? I like this life design. Some people use the coding or the blueprints, and some people are activating, and some people are, there's like all sorts of language for this. And so my language is aligning with congruency. It's the ease of living. Are you done with the trauma drama? And if not, then acknowledge that you're not done with the trauma drama. And acknowledge that your ease of your ask is congruent with your drama, because what you get is what you ask for. And so you're getting exactly what you ask for. So stop blaming someone else for not having. It truly comes to your own practice. I feel like I've been on a soapbox, but I am so passionate. It's like I can see this so clearly. My awareness is so polished in this area that it makes sense to me. And I can see how confused other people are around it. And so it is my hopes that in participating in this call, whether you're a listener or you have actively participated, that you begin to know a new possibility is waiting for you to open the door. Because when the door is open, you can then walk through. When you're on the revolving door, you just keep going around and around and around. And when you have a locked door, you don't even try. You give up. You give up. And it's like telling you that there's no need to give up. There's the self-punishment days are over. We're moving on. It's like, what would you like to make significant? Thank you. Next. Thank you. Next. Thank you. Next. So, does anyone have anything they'd like to add to this? You can all come off of mute.
No.
Okay. Just breathe, relax. I'm gonna thank you. I'm gonna hit the recording. Thank you for being part of this.